Well, hello and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. I'm Randy Rosenblum alongside Tarek Fatal from SB Live. Very intriguing show tonight. We're going to talk lacrosse, track and field, baseball, softball. And I'm looking at my list. What a guest list we have. We have Marlborough, which won the championship in lacrosse in D1. Their head coach, Megan Toomey, and a star player, Sophia Cateno. And we're going to talk track and field with the Long Beach Poly coach. All they did is win the boys and girls CIF championship, Crystal Irving and Jalen Hunter. Tarek, we're going to be busy.
It's going to be a really, really fun show. We got some champions in the house. Looking forward to speaking with them.
All right, let's start with lacrosse. And we're going to throw up a couple divisions for you. We don't see these teams, but Temecula Valley was able to knock off Roosevelt in the D3 championship match. Congratulations to Temecula Valley. In D2, Jay Serra improves to 16-8. This was a hard-earned, hard-fought lacrosse match, and they won it 5-4. And in the D1 final, nobody ever beats Foothill. Foothill was, 68-1 coming into this. Three-time champion. But Marble, the Mustangs, got them 14-8.
I think when you're coming into a championship game, especially a repeat, because that was a matchup in 2023, there's a little bit of, man, can we do it? Can we knock them off the pedestal? And Marlborough did it.
Yeah, not only that, they had lost to them during the regular season, so this makes it doubly sweet. Now, Marlborough, their only loss this year was to that very good Foothill team. How about Sophia Cateno? 7 goals in the championship match.
Yeah, she matched her season high at the best point you can do it. If you're going to give out your best performance of the year, why not be in the final? And again, against a Foothill team that was 68-1 coming in and a 3-time champion. So, look, in high school, we usually don't like to use the word upset because there's no gambling, but it was a shocker and certainly an upset. I'm curious to hear more about it.
Yeah, Foothill was confident going in, obviously, with the 68-1 record. But I think Marlborough built some of their own confidence because they lost a tough match to Foothill during the year.
Sure. I think, again, when you're coming into a final and it's a team you've seen before, it's a team you haven't had a lot of success against before, there seems to be sometimes more pressure coming into that, especially it being a final. Those are really, really important things to think about.
Well, the head coach is Megan Toomey, and she's a nice young lady, and she's very proud of her team winning at Marlborough. And Megan, welcome to the show. And first and foremost, congratulations. I know you were a D3 champion a couple of years ago, but this has to be mighty sweet, huh?
Yeah, it feels good to be back on top.
What was the difference? What was the difference this time knocking off Foothill? They had knocked you off in the final last year. They beat you earlier in the year, but beating them 14-8, obviously Sophia had a great match. But what was really the difference for your team in winning the title?
Last year, I think that we were a young team, and this year we were just really hungry to come back and get the championship. The girls had their sights on winning, and I think they showed that the day of, and to be proud of them.
Coach, when you are facing an opponent you're familiar with, lost in the final last year, lost earlier in the season, as a coach, how do you get your team mentally prepared to basically not even think about that and really focus on the game ahead? Is there some kind of secret sauce you might have worked with there to get them to focus on only the game ahead of them?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking Foothill a lot this season. Since last year, a lot of the girls wanted to come back and beat them. So I think that we had a pretty good hunch that we would see them in the final. But with playoffs, you got to take it game by game. To get to that end point, we had to beat every single other team on the way there. So I think just kind of keeping them grounded and that, hey, there's still more work to do. We can enjoy this playoff game now that we won, but we really want to get to that championship. So keep taking those baby steps, and hopefully we'll be on the stage at the end.
Tell us about Sophia Cateno. Again, she scored 7 goals in the championship match. She had scored 7 goals in a match earlier in the year. Why is she so productive?
Sophia's a great all-around player. She really stood on her head in that game. We knew that the draw was going to come down and be a really tough part And she worked really hard at making that a priority and making sure that we were securing the draw for our team, along with Julia Goodry, who takes draws for our teams as well. We knew that they played a zone defense and worked a lot on how to beat the zone defense at practice, but when it came to game time, Soph just popped off. Like there was nothing in the way from her path to the goal. She was going hard, and she wasn't going to leave any effort left out on the field. So she went all for it. I'm super proud of her.
Coach, you were a standout yourself in college. Talk about the growth of lacrosse here in Southern California. I actually went to college in the Northeast. I know that's pretty much Mecca for lacrosse. But out here in Southern California and just on the West Coast in general, it's growing. It's getting bigger for the men's and the women's. Can you just touch on the growth that you're seeing, especially at the high school level?
Yeah, I mean, I've been out in LA throwing lacrosse with friends for about 10 years, and this is the first time an LA team has won the CIF Division One championship. So even just speaking to Los Angeles' growth, it's been tremendous. Even in the last 3 years, to have not just one LA team winning the championship, but three competing in the Final Four was huge. It wasn't only us that was in the Final Four, but Redondo High School and Mira Costa all competed. So there was a more even spread. But now you're really starting to see kids go play at Division One, 2, and 3 at all levels. And I think all eyes are kind of turning towards the West Coast and the growth that it's having. And hopefully we can keep that trajectory.
That plays into my next question about your program. Obviously, winning a championship is great. You'd won a D3 title and you came close at the highest level last year, losing to Foothill. So what does this mean to your program going forward?
I think we want to keep being back on that stage. We want a program of excellence, and we want to be in playoffs each year. We don't want to see us drop down Division 2 or 3. We want to set that standard and stay atop in Division 1, and hopefully try and go win it again next year.
My last question for you, Coach, is really just touching on Randy and just your program. As a coach, when you're watching a young lady or a young man play lacrosse, what are things that jump out at you that make you feel like, wait a minute, this is a player that can help our program? A lot of coaches in different sports, they see certain things and they think, okay, I can mold this young person into a good player. What are things you look for when you're looking to mold a player?
I'm definitely looking for the amount of effort they're putting forth, just like generic, regular athleticism, especially with lacrosse. If there's a kid that, maybe coming from another sport and they're just already fast and athletic, I think that, us as coaches are like, yeah, we can turn them into a lacrosse player, easy. But I think, something that I've found a lot of success with being at Marlborough is that a lot of the girls, some of them have played for a long time, some have not. And what's great about this school is that every single girl that comes out to the field wants to work hard and they want to get better and they want to succeed. So that's kind of been the success equation for me at Marlborough in terms of getting us to where we are today.
Megan, Marlborough doesn't get a lot of exposure when it comes to sports. We don't hear a lot about your program. I'm not talking just lacrosse. So I would imagine this has to be a feel-good story for the entire campus at Marlborough.
Yeah, for sure. We're super proud. I think in the last 3 to 4 years since I've been at Marlborough, our sports have been more and more successful. We've had our tennis team won the championships last year or 2 years ago, and our water polo team competed in the finals. Our track team does pretty well. So we're, slowly but surely becoming more of an athletic school. It used to be just a school for high academics, and now I think we're kind of pairing, those that want to succeed in the classroom also with those that want to succeed on their sports fields. So,
not a bad thing to be known for academics, though. That's pretty good. It's obviously pretty good to have some supporting sports teams that are doing well. Congratulations, Megan Toomey, for the championship in lacrosse at the highest level in the Southern sections. Well deserved.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
You got it, Megan Toomey. I think that's a wonderful story. How are they able to bounce back and knock off the bullies of lacrosse? Never happens.
Yeah, no, it is. And you kind of nailed it. Marlborough, I've been covering high schools for about a decade. Marlborough doesn't generally jump off the page when we think about athletic juggernauts. I do know their girls basketball team's pretty good. Coach Six Johnson's got it rolling over there, and they compete in the Mission League. But for their girls lacrosse team, to defeat that the Goliath, per se, that they took down in Foothill is pretty cool.
All right, let's turn our attention to track and field. Let's start with Notre Dame's J.J. Harrell. He won the CIF Championship Southern Section last week in the high jump. Now the championships have been finished, and Harrell was the talk of the town. He's a sophomore that went over 7 feet out of Notre Dame and Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, we've been hearing about this young man for a while. This is one of those prodigies, I guess you could say, JJ, and we've been hearing about him in 8th grade, a freshman, and this is a young man that's pretty much got his eyes set on being an Olympian. So I can't say he's well on his way. There's a lot of work to do, but in regard to what he's accomplishing at his age, what else can he accomplish? He's a CIF champion and jumping 7 feet as a sophomore. It's pretty
thinks
impressive.
he can do 7.2 this year, maybe even higher. The all-time high school record is 7.6, and it's in his crosshairs. He's only a sophomore. He could get to 7.6 before he's done in high school. And yes, in the back of his mind, he told me he is thinking about the Olympics. Speaking of the Olympics, this young lady's got a chance to go in 2024. The middle distance runner, Sadie Engelhardt from Ventura. She just dominates the 1600.
Yeah, that's another one. We've been hearing that name for a long time, and especially out in Ventura County, it's something that we don't see a lot. We see a lot of athletes all over Southern California, out in the Riverside area or even San Bernardino County, of course Orange County and Los Angeles County, but Ventura County, we don't see a lot of big superstars coming from out there, so good for Sadie for representing.
Yeah, and she won the 1600 in the CIF Southern Section. She's trying to win a double again in the state in a couple of weeks. She won the 800 and the 1600 in the state. Figures to do it again. Sadie Engelhardt is great. How about Devin Bragg? He's in a little lower division, but he's still the fastest young man in Southern California out of Los Alamitos. He won the 100 meters in 10.38, and he beat a great sprinter from Long Beach Poly in the process in Benjamin Harris.
Yeah, again, listen, Benjamin Harris was everyone was talking. Everyone was talking about Benjamin Harris at the beginning of the year, but of course Bragg got the championship, and so something to think about.
Yeah, but Benjamin Harris was on the championship team.
That's right.
Long Beach Poly won the girls and the boys. How spectacular is that?
Listen, it hasn't been done in 20 years, and the last team to do it, Long Beach Poly. So to win the double is something very, very, I'm sure the Jackrabbits are proud of, and what an accomplishment to not do it just one time, but twice.
Very much a part of the Jackrabbits teams over the years has been Crystal Irving, their coach. She's been there 9 years. Every year she's been part of a CIF championship. I think there's just 1 year where she didn't win one.
Well, there's so much tradition at Long Beach Poly in all athletics. We hear about the football, obviously track and field. I know she's been there a long time. She was a tremendous sprinter herself. So that kind of experience, that's going to exude into your program, and there's no surprise why they have so much success.
Yeah, and Jalen Hunter is on the sprint relay team. She's on the mile relay team where they were first in the sprint, second in the mile relay, and she also finished in the 400 meters. Great sprinter. She was 5th overall. She piled up a lot of points for the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it off air before we got on. She's kind of like a stat stuffer. She's able to do so many different things that help the team win championships. So, and only a junior, so she's got another year.
All right, we're waiting for them to come on. We have not seen them in our picture. So while there she is. I just saw Crystal, and there's Jalen. See how it works? Live television, you gotta love it. Crystal, welcome. Jalen, welcome to the program.
Hi.
On cue, that was pretty good. Congratulations. Let's start with Crystal, the coach. She's got that big smile going. Is it because you win every year? Why is the Jackrabbit program so strong, other than great coaching?
You know what? We have a lot of tradition at Long Beach Poly because even now that I've been at Poly 27 years, I'm getting the offspring of some of the athletes that I've coached in the past. So there's a lot of family tradition from grandparents passed down to their children, their grandchildren that come through Poly who want to be amazing, great athletes.
Jalen, when we're in high school, college, of course we want to support our teammates, our classmates. I know you want the boys to win. I get it. Sometimes you're thinking, you know what, we won the championship. Oh no, but the boys didn't. Well, I guess we're the only champions on campus. But when they also won the CIF championship, how much more fun was it to share in that moment?
Yes, this was one of like my first hands-on experiences. It was definitely a good feeling to have both teams win and just experience a feeling that everybody is happy that both of us won. Like it's not just a one-sided thing. It's just a celebration for both of us.
Crystal, I mean, how do you organize two teams going simultaneous like that? I mean, obviously you did a great job. You won the championship for both the boys and the girls, but there's so many bodies that you're dealing with. How can you oversee all that?
You know, I have a lot of experience with just managing because I'm also the girls' athletic director. I teach physical education full time. Um, Poly is like a small college, and altogether we have 200 kids on our team, and we have 15 amazing coaches that are in our program, such as Keith Anderson, who's been at Poly, I believe, 33 years. We have Doc Moye, he's been there 25 years. Half of my staff are former athletes, so they know the expectation of just going into an amazing program. So it does take a good village and a lot of organization to make it all work.
Jalen, Long Beach is a very, very, Coach kind of alluded to a little bit. It's a city, and everyone that lives in it or goes to school in it is very proud to be from or live in Long Beach. When you bring home a championship, how much fun is it to kind of, proverbially bring back a CAF title back to school? What's been the reception like within your community and your school after you guys won?
It's so much fun. It's like just a great feeling to come back to school and just know that we ran and we did our best and we brought something home to celebrate with.
Jalen, let's talk about all these different events that you're in. Sprint relay, mile relay, 400 meters. I would imagine it's difficult to get through an individual meet. Now you throw in you're at the CIF Southern Section Championships, the pressure. How do you manage your head doing all these events almost simultaneously? You're looking to the next event. How do you get that straight in your mind so you can perform at the highest level?
Honestly, I've been doing it all 3 years that I've been at Poly. It's just something that you really have to get used to. I feel like I just treat it like it's practice, like it's just back-to-back workouts, just stuff that I trained my body for.
Coach, we know you've been at Long Beach for a long time. My question for you is more about maybe the new era of athlete. I want to ask you, even when you were running in college and you started coaching shortly thereafter, what's the difference between the track and field athlete you are coaching 20 years ago to the one here in 2024? What are the good things? And I'm sure there are some challenges too.
You know what? Honestly, when I was in school and I graduated from Poly in 1988, UNLV in 94, I went to Olympic trials a couple times, but the internet and different things that kids have now, we didn't have. So you didn't know who you were running against. So there was no pressure. You just went out there and did your best. Now the kids have access to the heat sheets. They know who's in their race. And sometimes I feel it adds pressure that shouldn't be there. I just want them to just honestly focus on themselves and no one else in their race, what they did last week, because like I tell them, it's what you do today.
Crystal and Jalen. Crystal, how much is Jalen like you? And Jalen, when you see your coach and she talks about the stories when she ran the 400, do you think you're like your coach? So we'll start with Crystal. Is she as similar to you at the same age?
You know, I feel, and really this year for Jalen, and her nickname is JJ, I feel that she's come such a long ways because I had the pleasure of meeting this young lady before she came to Poly, seeing her run HB track, and I think that she's become quite a good leader this year. And from what I see in her every week, getting better and better, I'm just looking for more from her that I know she has. And every week she's proving it. And I think now that she's run some amazing times that are now dropping each week, I see that confidence that I used to see in myself, and I see a great future for her.
Well, you were a great 400-meter runner. Jalen's obviously very good at what she does in the 400 and other things as well in the sprint relays. Congratulations on the CIF championship, both the boys and the girls. If we had more room on the screen, we would have had more bodies up there with you because you had the boys and the girls team. Congratulations, Crystal and Jalen. Great job this year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was delightful to see them, and that is really a great story that they were able to win the boys and the girls.
Yeah, I think, again, something that hasn't been done in 20 years. So not only are you winning a CIF championship, but you're doing something historic by winning that double. The Long Beach Poly track and field tradition continues.
All right, let's turn our attention to softball. We got a lot of things to go through here in the final 10 minutes. A lot of sports. Busy time of the year. Softball, city section we'll start with. Granada Hills over El Camino Real. Semifinal, not a surprise here. Granada's the number 1 seed, 6-1. They'll play Carson in the final. Not a surprise. Carson's a great team. In fact, Carson's the defending champion. They beat this very fine Granada Hills team last year. You can see Carson knocked off a West Valley League team and a very good one under Jim Rose, 5-1. That final is Saturday.
Yeah, I think we all knew that the clash between Granada Hills and Carson was imminent, and here they finally go. I think Granada Hills is going to win it.
Well, they came from 10 down to tie Carson, only to
That's
lose
right.
it
That game was
last year.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
Carson
right.
won the championship in one of the most memorable games ever. By the way, Jody Bornstein, after that El Camino game, has resigned as the head coach at El Camino.
Been an ECR staple for a long time. I think she's been there for 2 decades. I don't know how long she's been the coach. I know it's been a long time. She's won a lot of championships. I'm sad to see her resign. There's a lot of changes that are going on over at El Camino Real, and I think that has a little something to do with it.
I don't know if there's any question about that. All right, let's look at the CIF Southern Section semifinals. No surprise here. These are the 2 teams. The surprise would be in this score. Murrieta Mesa actually knocked off Olu big during the regular year, but Orange Lutheran got them at Mesa. You can see 13-1. That wasn't close. Lancers had 8 runs in the 5th inning in that one. And Pacifica of Garden Grove, who's been one of the huge favorites all year in a tight battle, got by Jay Sarah, 1-0. Bryn Nedley with a 3-hit shutout.
Yeah, Pacifica has been the team that has been ranked number 1 in the country a few times. Olu's been up there. This Division I final Friday night in Irvine at Deanna Manning Stadium, that is the one that everyone's got their eye on. I think Pacifica wins it.
I think you can go either way. I'm not hedging my bet here. They're just 2 great teams. Let's check out the baseball in the CIF Southern section. We'll start with D1, the semifinals. Corona 3-1. Not a surprise. Seth Hernandez, a lot of people think he's one of the great young players in Southern California history. He's a pitcher and hitter, and as a hitter, he won the game with a 2-run home run. He got the homer in the 6th. The other semifinal, Harvard-Westlake over Olu, setting up a great final.
It's going to be an outstanding final. I did a preview on this game today, and there is no doubt at least 10 Major League Baseball prospects in this game Saturday night at Diamond Stadium in Lake Elsinore, which I'm not too thrilled about. But nevertheless, a good venue, and it's going to be a great game on Saturday night.
Great pitching matchup.
Yes. Ethan Scheifelebaum and Duncan Marston. 2 guys going at it, not to mention Bryce Rayner. You mentioned Seth Hernandez. The list goes on of great players in this game.
D2, quite a story is brewing with the Hart Indians. Jim Ozella is their head coach, retiring after 25 years. They won't let him retire. He keeps winning. They knock off Arcadia 7-2. They'll take on a very good Moore Park team who knocked off Ayala 7-5. I think Ozella's Hart team is the favorite in the final.
Yeah, they might have a little edge. That Moore Park team is gritty. If I'm not mistaken, they were down 4-0, 5-0. They were down big early in that semifinal and came back and won. So that would be what the Daily News would call a double local final. We got Moore Park versus Hart, and I think it's a toss-up. But I think everyone's pulling a little bit for Jim Ozella to go out on top.
Division III semifinals. It was Beckman over Los Alamitos, and Beckman will play St. John Bosco, who knocked off South Torrance 2-1. Bosco rallied late to win that game, so it's Beckman and Bosco in the D3 final. In D4, Santa Monica is into the finals. I'm sorry, that's D5. There's so many divisions here. D4, we have Camarillo over Culver City first, 6-4. They'll take on St. Francis in the championship game after St. Francis knocked off Ontario Christian.
Yeah, this game's going to be fun. I'm giving a slight edge to Camarillo. Tommy Gooden, huge hitter, and then LSU commit Boston Bateman is this big, like 6'6" hurler. He can smash the ball too. He's one of those just do-it-all kinds of natural baseball players. I think Camarillo might have a little more firepower. However, the magic of Coach Sean Court at St. Francis has absolutely turned the program around and has them in a CIF championship. It's a remarkable story in itself.
And in D5, I mentioned Santa Monica, 4-0 over Pacifica. There's that score, and they'll play a very talented Chino Hills team who knocked off Chino. You know, that had to have some emotion in that game. Chino Hills won it 2-0. Turn our attention to baseball in the LA City section. The top 4 seeds, Granada Hills, Birmingham, Carson, and Bell.
Yeah, the quarterfinals, I think, are where it gets a little bit more of a toss-up. Cleveland, Carson, San Pedro, Birmingham. I mean, all those games are quality games. Slight edge in every single game. I think those top seeds will have the edge. You know, could go chalk for 3 of those 4 games. But that Sylmar-Bell game, I don't know. Sylmar only beat Sun Valley Poly last round 2-1, if I'm not mistaken, and they needed 10 strikeouts in a complete game from Alex Martinez. So that game could be a tough-up. Maybe Bell gets into the semifinal and can play at Pepperdine on Tuesday.
That would be fun. A couple of weeks ago, we had Mike Boley from Loyola on, volleyball coach, and we had the coach from Chatsworth on, and that's Agassi.
Sina Agassi.
Sina Agassi. They both won championships. Good guess, huh? Loyola over Miracosta 3-0 in the Southern Section D1 final. Sean Kelly, their star, with 15 kills. That's the 13th title for Loyola, 7th for Mike Boley. And in the LA City section, Agassi's team knocked off Eagle Rock 15-11 in that final set, 3-2 overall. Justin Dixon with 12 kills for Chatsworth. That's back-to-back titles for Chatsworth and 3 in 4 years.
The Loyola Championship is the 13th. You mentioned it. That's a CIF record. No one's won more. Chatsworth, I think we're starting to see the Sina Agassi like era per se. It's getting to the point where we think of in college football for a little bit, it was like Nick Saban and Alabama, right? You always just thought they'd be in the final, and generally they were. There's other instances, but that's a good example. Sina and Chatsworth, I think it's getting to the point where you expect them to be in there every year.
And that's 11 titles overall for Chatsworth, so they're a dominant program in the city in volleyball. Speaking of the city, football next year, San Pedro and Banning, always a great matchup in the Harbor Classic. They're going to play at the Coliseum on October 18th.
Yeah, that's always a fun game. This past year at the Coliseum, it was Dorsey versus King Drew, and it came down to the wire, and it was a really, really fun game, and I think Dorsey ended up winning. And so those events are really, really fun. There was a halftime performance, the whole 9. They can get up to 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people there, depending on the teams that are playing. That game could get 30,000 people.
And Pedro and Banning, always year in and year out, nail biters, great games. Always end the show with talk. We got to talk hoops. You know, he loves basketball. And Ashton Hardaway, who was a great star at Sierra Canyon, went to Memphis to play for his dad, Anthony Hardaway, great player, Penny Hardaway. He's leaving in the portal. So if you can't keep your kid, who's going to stay at his school?
Who's sticking around?
That blew me away. He transferred to St. Mary's.
He's going to St. Mary's, good program. Yeah, you know, Hardaway, I'll keep my shot. He was a good player in high school, decent shooter. I'll leave it at that.
To me, the story was he played for his dad and
he left
leaving.
His dad. I would say, if we're being honest, which I think is fair here, he probably shouldn't have been at Memphis to begin with. Now, I get that's like, yes, he was kind of daddy ball, but Ashton Hardaway playing at Memphis, it wasn't a good fit just in regard to talent level.
Last one in basketball, Julian Rishwain, who was a star at Notre Dame and Sherman Oaks, went to Boston College, much traveled. Now he's going to go to UNLV.
there's no way he's got more than 1 year left of eligibility. I feel
That's
like
right,
he's
he's
been in
got one
college
left.
for a long time. He went to Notre Dame. He was at Boston College. He was at University of San Francisco playing for the Dons, I think, for 2 seasons or even 3. And now he's going to UNLV, which I would believe be his final year of eligibility,
Yeah.
maybe as a graduate student or something like that.
And he should have some success. He'll be in the rotation
Good
for
shooter,
the Rebels.
6'5" shooter.
Yeah, wing player, very good. Where are you this weekend?
Friday, softball championships in Irvine at Deanna Manning. Saturday, Lake Elsinore, Diamond Stadium. I'll be catching both D1 games.
SB Live give you gas miles?
I get the
You
the
need the
mileage
miles.
reimbursement, baby.
Okay, that's it. How's the baby? Speaking of the baby.
Isla, 10 months old.
You got it. That's it. We'll be back next week. We thank all our guests. We thank Tark.
Great guests
I'm
tonight.
Randy. They were good guests.
Great guests.
We'll see you next week right here on SoCal Prep Report. Good night, everybody.
CAF
They
champion
were good
guests.
guests.
Really good. Really good. 4 ladies. Gotta love
Yeah.
that.
Women's night.
Gotta love the company of ladies.
Yeah, it made